Afternoon, Ange. Could you give us your reaction, first of all, to the news of Erik Ten Hag leaving Manchester United yesterday? Were you shocked when you heard it?
Nah, not really shocked. I guess disappointing as it was, almost inevitable with the scrutiny he'd had. So, yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of football these days.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight into the scrutiny that a Premier League manager faces on a day-to-day basis? And I imagine, obviously, a club like United, it intensifies more and more, but obviously you're at Spurs, but just give your opinion on that.
Look, I've said in the past that it's becoming more and more difficult, I guess, to do the role in kind of any sort of processed way. Like I said, it's just the nature of what we do these days that it seems like, if you look at Erik, he was there for 2 and a bit years. In those 2 years, he won a trophy in each year. I think they finished third the first year. I don't know if he was here with that record, would he have lost his job? I don't know. Would he be under the same scrutiny? I don't know. Because everyone tells me all I have to do is win a trophy. But I've got a feeling it'd be the same because I think, people want to, I think just the nature of the world today, you've got to, as a manager, you've got to hit a sweet spot where you have success, you play football everyone likes, you get every signing right, and in that moment you seem to get some sort of validation. Anything other than that seems to be, for some clubs, they win trophies, but they want football. Others want football, but then changes they want trophies. So it is a difficult task, and but I think what you've seen in the past, I'm sure Erik will bounce back from it because he's a good manager, he's a top manager, and you've seen it with other managers, and I'm sure his career will continue to go on strongly.
You raised a good point. There's a lot of variables, involved in a job as a manager or a head coach, as they're called these days. Do you think that sometimes there is too much onus on head coaches and managers in terms of all those things that you were talking about?
Well, I mean, no, I don't think there's too much. It's just that we're obviously the public face of it, and you have to, when you are, you have to take that responsibility. It's just like I said. It's just, I think you need to kind of have a clear idea, I guess, if you are in this position, as we are as managers, of what we're trying to achieve, because, we're the ones that inevitably have to answer these questions. So, about progress and where we're at and what our aims and ambitions are. So, I guess it's easier when that's aligned, with the overall objective of the club. But if that keeps shifting, then it becomes really difficult to kind of figure out, what the outcomes are supposed to be. What we do know is that any process that, you want an outcome of continued sort of opportunity for success, because that's the only thing you can kind of try and achieve. You can't guarantee success. There's no such thing. It doesn't matter who you are. But what you try and achieve as a club, I think, is the opportunity for success on a regular basis. That process takes time.
And just focusing now on the short term, you obviously will be hoping for a reaction after the Palace result over the weekend. Have you seen a bit of a reaction on the training ground the last day or so?
Oh, I don't think it's about a reaction. I think, it's fairly sort of understandable that the players and everyone was disappointed with the way things went for us at Palace, both performance and obviously outcome. But we've got to get away from this kind of, reactions and, trying to atone for something. You've got to sort of, part of the process for us is just making sure that every game we kind of stick to our principles, irrespective of what's happened in the past, because if you wait for reactions for good performances, then you're actually, anticipating another challenge where you should be just trying to focus on consistency in performance, consistency in mentality of how we approach every game.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
Good, mate.
Just going back to Ten Hag and the whole thing about managers, does job security ever worry you when you're in a job, or is it when you're in a job, you just want to do your job, play good football, win trophies?
Look, it's easy to say, but I've never worried about job security. I think if you do, then you're probably, going to end up not doing the role, the justice it deserves for yourself more than anything else, because the reality is there is no job security. I don't know what job security looks like. What's the average tenure of a manager these days? So if you think, I'm going to be around for 5 years, that's highly unlikely. So, if you worry about those things, then I think you end up, like I said, chasing your tail a little bit, trying to, and probably making decisions for the wrong reasons. I've always, as I said before, I understand I won't be here forever, but I work as if I will be, and I'll make decisions that I think will get us to being a successful football club. And if you deviate from that, then the inevitability is that the end will probably come sooner than you want, because like I said, job security for managers just doesn't exist, because there is always something that, unless you win it, and you win it in the right style with the right decisions, everyone else seems that will be under scrutiny. So you've got to understand that's part of the role. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think criticism and scrutiny is healthy. Even criticism and scrutiny that's not valid is useful, because that's what tests your resolve in doing what you do. Because if you're just going to jump at the first time somebody questions what you're doing, it probably means you don't believe in it.
You're playing against someone tomorrow who's been at his club for 9 years, going on 10. Do you ever believe that you'll ever be at either Spurs or your next club for that length of time?
Like I said, that's how I kind of, plan things, because I want, whatever we achieve to be sustainable. So you make decisions on that basis, so that if things keep going in the right direction, then I don't know how long I'll be wherever I've been. Usually I've left after a kind of successful period, but as I said before, the successful periods of the clubs I've been at have outlasted me. So I think that's important. Not that I'm kind of the key in that, but it's just that that's what you try and build. So, how long I stay at one club is always kind of been defined by, kind of, is there still an alignment? Is there still a challenge there? And, that's what I kind of focus on.
And finally, from me, Pep suggested that he would maybe rest players or rotate players. Those that weren't 100% wouldn't be risked. Do you care who's in the shirt opposite you, or do you just look at the shirts and think, we want to beat this team?
Yeah, no, look, I think it's fair to say that most clubs rotate through the Carabao Cup, but you just have to look at Man City's record in this competition, and you look at Man City's record in any competition. They're a fantastic football club, and they've had success for a very long time. And I think sometimes, people take that for granted. They just think, oh, it's City, but it's very, very difficult in this league and these, in this country to maintain that kind of excellence over the time they have. And they do that because irrespective of who plays, there's a level of performance they continually deliver, whether that's, they've rotated the team or not, whatever the competition. Very, very few competitions they drop out at an early stage.
Hi, Ange. Can you give us team news? Is Sonny fit?
Yeah, Sonny, no. Well, he's almost fit, but we're probably, from our perspective, we'll aim him for the weekend. We're quite confident he'll be right for the weekend. The only one that's missing out, it's a bit of a disappointment, is Wilson. He's had a setback after during the week. And it seems like it's a serious one, so we're just waiting for more information. So that's the only one that's disappointing. And then from the weekend, everyone else is okay. Jed's back training.
Is it the same injury then?
Yeah. Well, not exactly the same, but yeah, same area.
You've had 2 games in this competition. You made 9 changes at Fulham last time out, and 8 at Coventry this year. Is that likely to be your approach in this competition going forward, or do you pick on a game-by-game basis?
No, I think we, similarly to what we've done in all our sort of midweek games, Europe included, is try and pick a team we think will win the game and take into account that, we did play Sunday. Obviously City played on Saturday, so, we've got to sort of make sure that our players, the ones we put out there tomorrow, are able to compete physically with what's going to be across the other side of the pitch for us. So, I'll select the team as I have, like I said recently. The good thing for us is that just about the whole squad's had regular football or some kind of football. So, that means that whatever changes we make tonight, the players coming in are at a good physical level.
Thanks.
Rob, please.
Hi, Ange. Just ask you about Dane Kulusevski. He said this season he's seen a growth in his maturity on and off the pitch. How much of a change and growth have you seen in terms of his leadership qualities over the past 16 months since you've been at the club?
Yeah, look, I think Decky's growing, but I think that's kind of where we are as a group. I think a lot of them are kind of growing, and they're growing through experiences. And I think even for Decky, the weekend was another sort of growth period, because I think, he obviously got hurt pretty early and wasn't happy with it. And I think in many respects he lost a bit of his composure after that. And that's another growth for him, to understand that that's part of it as well. You need to focus your energies on helping the team on the day rather than sort of being personally aggrieved. But that's where we are as a group, and I think that's where we get our growth, by going through experiences like we did on the weekend with a lot of the players, and them going through that and understanding how to deal with it better next time. But Decky's been fantastic for us this year in terms of both his output, but also his attitude, his mentality, and I think there's more to come.
Jay, please.
Hi, Ange. Just one from me. I think there's been a rising trend this season of teams coming from behind in Premier League games to win. Saw it with Brentford at the weekend. Just wanted to know if you thought there was a particular reason behind that.
No, not really, mate. I think I've never gone for trends in football that last a couple of months. Trends in football last a lot longer than that. And I think, it's the nature of a little bit of the Premier League, I think, that, most teams tend not to sit on kind of results. There seems to be in the Premier League a propensity for teams to keep, playing right until the end in terms of getting a result, and, you see quick turnarounds within that. So, but yeah, I mean, I think a trend in football needs to last longer than a couple of months.
Okay, we'll finish with George, please.
Hi, and Richarlison's obviously fit again now. Do you sort of see him as an option going into this game on the left, or is you seeing him more as a centre forward with Dom and they're sort of competing? No,
I think Richie obviously played a lot of his football on the left. He's definitely an option there for us. He's an option through the middle as well. So, look, again, he's getting, some good match minutes now. So hopefully, with the next couple of weeks, we've still got a good game schedule where, like I said, he's only just getting his season started. So the more we can expose him without sort of overburdening him in these early stages, I think he'll be able to contribute even more.
And the Man City game last season at home sort of got overshadowed, but you went with Pape Sarr as kind of the false nine. Was that just kind of because you was without Richie, I think at the time, injured, or was that more to kind of counter what City do?
I don't think we had a striker available, mate, if I remember correctly. So, Pape won't be a false nine tomorrow, mate.
Is that something, though, potentially, like, throughout the season you could...
Oh, look, I think with the way we play, whether it's Dom or it's Richie or, we've played Sonny through there, we kind of try to play with sort of our fixed position there, and but it depends on the opposition and what they do, and obviously City will pose some different challenges this week than we had in sort of the last game. So within that context, it's just about adjusting sort of some of our play for that.
And obviously, I know you want to win every game, but I think some fans would probably look at this 7-day week, and some of them would see this Man City game, even though it's the fourth round of the Carabao Cup, as the biggest one of the week. Do you get any kind of sense from staff, players, that no one or any of them don't realise the significance of this fixture on tomorrow night?
Look, I've said on countless occasions, I'm not a supporter of the club. I'm the manager of this football club, and I'd hate to think that any supporter of this football club thinks that I try harder in one game more than another. Supporters can feel what they like, which is the most important game. But it would be the biggest injustice for me as a manager if I said to them, you know what, we're going to try harder tomorrow than we will on the weekend or that we did last weekend. It doesn't work that way. You know, you need to separate, you know, supporters of a football club with people who have the responsibility of representing it. Our responsibility lies in trying to be the best we can be every day for our supporters, for everyone who's part of this football club. It's not about, you know, again, trying to, you know, gain brownie points. You know, that's not what our role is.